R-18 plus classification for computer and video games in Australia. The announcement comes ahead of a meeting of State Attorneys General on Friday that will decide whether to back the classification. The highest classification currently in Australia is MA15+, with games that don't meet that criteria then refused entry into the country. The Minister for Home Affairs, Brendan O'Connor, says it's time Australia joined other Western countries like the United States and Great Britain in regulating adult-only games.
My main concern is that the most popular games that are not accessible to children and teenagers in other countries are currently accessible to 15-year-olds, 16-year-old and 17-year-olds in this country. And I think we need better parental guidance and we need a better framework that's also consistent with film.
Lyle Shelton from the Australian Christian Lobby says there's a significant amount of research that shows a link between violent video games and antisocial behaviour.
Well, our position is that that the current regime should stay in place, and that is that anything that would normally be classified R-18+ should be refused classification, and that's been the status for many years now. And the reason for that is the interactivity of violent video games, and that's what sets it apart from other forms of violent media, for which the community is already concerned about. But the interactivity is the reason why we do have this ban on extreme violent interactive video games. This will make it more dangerous for children because it's naive to think that R-18+ games, if the ban is lifted, that they wouldn't fall into the hands of minors. So we're very concerned about this. We think the status quo should remain, that this isn't a done deal, and we're concerned that Attorneys General might be having undue pressure placed upon them by the Commonwealth Government in the lead up to Friday's meeting. We'd encourage them to look at the evidence and to make up their own minds, regardless of whatever pressure might be coming from the Commonwealth at this point.
Well, to get the perspective of the gaming industry, I'm joined now by Colin Jacobs from Electronic Frontiers Australia. Now, Colin, what do you make of this decision?
We think it's a high time that the government push this reform through. We know that the average age of computer game players in Australia is 30 or older, and the vast majority of the Australian population want to be able to choose entertainment that's appropriate for their own age, whether they're adults or not. So we think it's good that the Commonwealth are actually putting out some information on this and doing some research to guide the State Attorneys General in getting together and pushing this reform through.
But does this mean that some of the popular games that are available now won't be available for teenagers?
Well, that's really the issue. I mean, sometimes this is framed as, oh, if we allow 18+ computer games, then teenagers and children will be seeing content that's much more violent. So what we want to do is create a category that's specifically for adults. That way there won't be the pressure that there is now for publishers to try and sneak in content that may not be otherwise appropriate into the 15+ category that is the only one that exists right now. So maybe some violent games will only be available to adults and not to children, but we think that's a good thing, and parents no doubt agree.
Well, the Christian Lobby, I think we heard from there, says it would be a mistake to introduce this higher classification because more violent games will then be allowed into the country, and young people, being young people, will still manage to get their hands on it.
Well, the bad news for the Christian Lobby is that kids already know how to get a hold of these games, whether they've been classified in Australia or not, because they can be downloaded from the internet or gotten in other ways. So this would actually bring everything above board. We'd have a legal rating for adult-only games. They could be sold in shops. Parents would have the information that they need, and kids as well. It's a bit naive to think that just because we don't have an official classification that the game will never make its way into the country. This would actually facilitate better information and more transparent distribution of games.
Under the current classification, are there many games that are now not allowed into the country because of their content and are refused classification? I mean, how many games are we talking about?
There are dozens of games, including some of the most popular games in the world that can't make it into Australia. For instance, Left 4 Dead 2, sequel to a very popular zombie killing game, that was not allowed into Australia, and the publisher there decided to go ahead and modify the game so that it could be allowed into Australia, but not all publishers are willing to do that or to take the time. So Australian audiences are missing out on playing games that are available pretty much to adults in every other industrialised nation.
How confident are you that the states will support these changes?
Well, this has been an issue for many years now. On the one hand, it's very good to see that the Commonwealth have put out some research showing that the links between violent video games and aggressive behaviour in children are very, very tenuous at best. And so the Attorneys General now have the information that they need to make an informed decision, including the fact that more than 80% of Australians support this. On the other hand, it does require unanimous agreement by all the state Attorneys General, so we only need one who decides to draw a line in the sand, and then this reform could be derailed. So we're hoping that this Friday they'll just all agree and we can move on to other matters.
Okay, Colin Jacobs from Electronic Frontiers Australia, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Richard.